Hello, folks. Welcome back to Flying Casual, an all-Star Wars podcast. I am your humble host, Michael Canterbury. Do you love the Bad Batch? We love the Bad Batch as well, and that's what we're talking about this entire episode, the Bad Batch. We're actually catching up this week because we were behind a week. So we're actually going to be talking about episode 3 and episode 4 replacements and cornered here in this latest episode of Flying Casual, guys. And I'm not here alone. I do have someone at the table with me, the lovely Holly Walton. Holly, how you doing?
It's me. I'm good.
That's it.
That's it. That's the whole story. That's the whole podcast.
It's a nice Saturday. Did you do some gardening?
Okay, I did some gardening today.
Okay, yeah.
I took a nap.
Yeah.
I read like 10 chapters of Catalyst.
Big shout out to Catalyst. Big favorite of mine. Holly, 40 pages in, was like, I don't know about this one.
I want to put it down. I don't want to read it anymore.
But it's coming back. Like, you're feeling good about it now.
Yeah, I gave it a second chance. Thank God, because that's the book club book that I just announced today.
I don't think
now.
you've actually hated a book club book yet, have you?
Hate is a very strong word.
Yeah, we don't use that on this podcast. Unless we're talking about episode 2.
That's right.
Okay, just need to clarify that, yeah.
Notorious for episode 2 hate.
Yep.
No, I just wasn't the biggest fan of Bloodline.
Also a big shocker. I don't know how you weren't a fan of that book. Fascinating.
It's fine.
Holly, so things are changing on the podcast.
Yeah.
Guys, I know, Luke calling on Skype. He's a big favorite, of the show. You guys loved him, his deep and sweaty knowledge. And I have to report that we actually no longer have Luke on Skype. And folks, that is because Luke is in studio. Let's go. Luke is finally home. Our group is complete, Holly. Our group is complete. Luke, I mean, the loft is nice and sweaty for you. I'm so used to looking down at the computer to talk to Luke. This is fantastic. Luke, I mean, other than the Greek Express smell here in the house, I mean, how you doing?
Doing great. I had a real Tom Sawyer, Huck Finn moment. Being in the loft, felt like I was attending my own funeral. You were eulogizing me. That was a weird experience.
A nice out-of-body experience.
and of course, we are able to do this because of the wonderful vaccine now.
Amen. That's right.
And, of course, we gave each other the traditional greeting amongst the vaccinated, and that we all licked each other's elbows when I got here.
That's right.
It was real weird.
Yeah.
That's how they do it, I think, on Hosnian Prime.
That's a traditional Hosnian Prime greeting.
Pretty sure it is, actually, yeah.
It's just like
too
up close and personal.
I feel like the elbow is one of the most sensitive, private parts of the body, is it not?
I don't know. It's a whole thing.
Michael's was both salty and floral at the same time.
So all that gardening that I've been doing,
And sweating in the loft.
Did it smell a little like beef jerky a little bit?
I think that's a different zone.
It's a little south. A little south
That's
of
gross.
that. Guys, we are vaccinated. We are, we're all doing well here. So it's time to podcast in person and not fight Skype anymore. Thank God.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you know it, though? Ready to do a podcast. We're starting to record, and Holly says, "What's that buzzing in my ear?" And Jesus, can't even get a good podcast in person. But I think Holly, just like an old NES, pulled out the cartridge, pulled out her cable to her microphone, blew on it, plugged it in, and somehow, maybe it's Dusty's. I'll get out up here.
It must be.
I mean,
but hey,
yeah,
no buzzing.
No buzzing.
That trick worked.
Yeah, just a little buzzing.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Luke's on his second, so I mean,
I haven't cracked it open yet. There'll be an audible signal for that later.
One of the perks that Luke is finding out, we actually just have a beer fridge here in this. I'm kidding. We don't. We can't afford that. Can we?
You sold our beer fridge. I guess we can't afford it.
You mean my college fridge?
The one that was in the
Turned into
garage.
beer fridge. Yeah. But guys, we are happy to be here in studio all together, podcasting, licks and all. We watched the Bad Batch. We're caught up. Finally, you guys can listen to us Monday morning and be on top of the Bad Batch with us. So episode 3, guys, replacements. No, there was no Shane Falco in here, and I made that reference earlier with our team here, and no one got it. No one got the reference.
Okay.
You want to give it another shot, Holly?
I don't want to give it another shot because I'm exactly where I was a minute and a half ago, where I still don't know who that is. Well, and also, I would love to know who listening to this knows who that is.
Holly, okay, here's the thing. If you were alive in the 2000s, you would have went and seen this. Well, you were technically alive. You probably couldn't get into this one. This one might have been PG-13 or something when it came out. You probably couldn't get into it.
Do you know when I was born?
No.
Okay. Just making sure.
It was a movie in the 2000s. You did not ringing a bell. It involves some football. Luke, nothing.
I got nothing.
Guys, Keanu Reeves was an old college quarterback. He played for Ohio State, and he got hurt or something happened, and the football league in this movie went on strike, and they put in a bunch of replacements, and they brought in old Shane Falco out of retirement, and he was a lefty. Keanu Reeves was. It was great. He's quarterback.
So the name of the movie is Shane Falco?
No, the name of the movie is The Replacements. Shane Falco was the quarterback. Though looking back, maybe they should have just called it Shane Falco because he was badass.
When did that movie come out, Michael?
I mean, we could look it up. You can look it up.
You told me not to.
It was in the 2000s at some point. I think I went and saw it with my sister. She probably had to get me into the damn movie, but
so you weren't old enough to get into the movie.
I want to hear it from our our Facebook group fam. Have you seen your Replacements? Why is it your favorite movie?
Is that a Disney movie?
It is, and you know what? I want to say that Jon Favreau's in it.
Okay, it came out in the year 2000.
Okay. Wow, I was spot on.
Oh, and it's playing at 12:30 a.m. on TNT.
Okay,
anybody
guys.
wants to watch it.
Well, Saturday night. Hope you're checking out TNT. It's a great film. Anyway,
it only got a 41% on Rotten
Oh,
Tomatoes.
get that shite out of here! It's a great movie.
Okay.
But this episode 3, just Replacements, not the Replacements. I want to throw the in there, but there was no the. Replacements. A slight synopsis here. I'm gonna pull Luke here on this reference. Luke was our heroes camping out on the same asteroid from episode 4. Was it? Is it? I don't even know what it was called. Where we got the giant worm guy.
That's not episode 4.
Episode 4. Jeez. This is a Star Wars podcast.
Are you even a fan?
Guys, I'm drenched in sweat right now.
That was like the last episode.
Well, no, I think
when I said Naboo.
They're on a moon, I believe.
Okay, so not
Ordo, a moon of Ordo.
Okay.
I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
But similar. They got the face mask. Doesn't seem to be much oxygen.
Yeah, maybe a similar climate environment.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bunch of wormholes.
Yeah.
So our heroes are there. They go on some adventures, and we'll come back to them. But I thought the meat and the potatoes of this episode was really the replacements themselves that Crosshair is leading, and just how dark their story was here. Holly, I think at the end of the episode, you were just like, that was so super dark. This is a kid's movie or a kid's show? Like, you were a little off put. Was it too dark for you?
I mean, it was really dark. I felt like I had to counter it with an episode of Bob's Burgers to just bring myself back up.
Wow.
So
do you want me to do my best Bob's Burgers impression?
Not
even close.
Okay. I mean, it was kind of close.
Not really.
But, it's John Benjamin.
I don't know who that is. So
I didn't know who Shane Falco was.
Or even.
Listen, I did think that the episode was incredibly dark. Yeah. I think maybe I don't know. I don't remember episodes in Rebels feeling as dark as this one was, even though there was a lot of death and stuff. I feel like, I don't know, that Replacements episode was a little bit scary.
Yeah.
But also maybe it was like that towards the end of the Clone Wars, and I just don't remember.
It's getting pretty dark there. I mean, yeah. I mean, Maul was killing people, a lot.
Yeah. I feel like it was just, to me, the difference is that Crosshair just executed these civilians point blank, and I feel like that's not something that we see typically in the animated shows.
No, you're not even that attached to Crosshair, but You know he's supposed to be a good guy, and you're like, this is really messed up. But he was also giving me some Joker vibes from The Dark Knight. Just his voice alone, but he'd just be like, you wanna know I got these scars? He didn't say that, but he said something along the lines of that. But I was getting some vibes like that. So to me, and the music, I think, too, kind of was just like unsettling to where like, oh my God, like people are gonna die here.
And he just kept repeating like good soldiers follow orders. And I think that there was just something like creepy about the brainwashing and then the terrible things that he did and how there's no remorse there because he was doing what he was told to do.
Yeah.
Or what he thinks he was told to do. I don't know.
Oh, the inhibited chip is telling him what to do. Luke, was this one too dark? I mean, did it just hit right? I mean, what did you think of this episode?
It definitely made you sit up and go, wow, they just did that.
Yes.
Because I think when you look at all these series that we've seen in animation, they kind of usually start out a little less serious.
Yeah.
Especially Rebels was, I think aimed to start with a much younger audience and let them grow into things. And then Rebels got pretty serious, and there was real death and real consequences to things eventually. And there was always consequences to things going on in the Clone Wars because it's a war, of course. But I think this series, because it's not so much a brand new series, it's really just like a spin-off continuation of the Clone Wars. I don't think it feels like it had to grow into its maturity. It just kind of was at the level that Clone Wars left off on.
That's a great point.
And continuing on to that. And plus it wants to convey the darkness of the beginning of the Empire.
That's true.
And this certainly did that. Like, I didn't think we were going to see those other civilians end up getting massacred the way that they did. I thought they would maybe be taken into custody as much as it was awful to see him take out the fellow trooper the way that Crosshair did. I didn't think it was ultimately going to result in those people as well. But it's very similar vibe to the opening of The Force Awakens.
Nailed it. Absolutely. Yeah, I thought the same thing. Just like you're like, they're not gonna do. Okay,
they did.
We're opening up. Kylo Ren's a douche. Awesome. Okay, Finn's not. He didn't shoot anybody. Awesome. Got it. You're right. It was just. I love that you said that. Like this is how Clone Wars ended, and it can just pick right up, and it just feels like it earned it. Like it's totally fine. So I love too that we're seeing. We had mentioned Tarkin and his kind of, focus on bringing in recruits. Tarkin is a great recruiter. That is what he brings to the Empire. Is he a brilliant tactician? I don't know, but he's a great recruiter. And so we've got Holly, Admiral Rampart. Holly was looking stuff up earlier. I was just like, you need to remember this name because Luke's hammered and you can't trust him to bring up information right now.
I'm 1 1/4 beer deep, guys.
These puppies are 3%. I'm getting a little hammered. So we got Admiral Rampart who is convinced that conscripted soldiers and recruits are going to be the future of the Empire. And he introduces Tarkin to this elite squad that he's got together. For a moment, when they showed them lined up and all their profiles, I was like, wait a second. Is this Iden Versio's squad? Luke, did that? I panicked for a moment. I was like, they're doing this. What did you think? Were you just like, who is this? Or you just like, okay, cool, they're soldiers?
I didn't jump to Iden Versio. It was interesting to see the sort of both genders represented.
Yep.
They were all humans. There wasn't any aliens thrown in there.
Definitely.
But I think what's a lot of the buzz around the old interwebs is are they the sort of the beginning iterations of the Death Troopers? Yeah, because the dark armor and everything, and like as this, there was a code name assigned to them, Warhammer. I think this project.
Great poll.
Of creating these new elite soldier squads that aren't part of the clones.
I think it was War-Mantle.
War-Mantle. Holly,
Mantle.
Nice pull.
I didn't just pull that. I had that from earlier when I was looking stuff up. Sorry.
Mentioned in Rogue One. Remember when Jen's going through all that? And War-Mantle, Black Saber.
Project Stardust.
Project Stardust. Yeah. So hey, check that one off. We kind of know what's going on there, and apparently, Admiral
Rampart,
30 seconds and it's already gone. Is kind of leading this up. Tarkin even says, "Hey, your initiative. It's all you now." So we're probably gonna see more of this guy. But you're right, Luke. Could be the beginnings of the Death Troopers. They even had the green little visors like the Death Troopers had that we saw in Rogue One. So that would be cool. None of the yet. When is that going to come into play?
Why did the Death Troopers not speak understandable basic?
I don't know.
Because they want to do really shitty things, and just like can't make them too human.
Well, I guess it could be like the Navajo code talkers in World War II. Like, we need a code language that nobody else knows. Let's find. Yep. They found some obscure language, and like, all Death Troopers need to learn this.
Seriously. Yeah. That's crazy.
I always thought that it was just like, when you watch like the Peanuts and the grown-ups don't really say anything. No,
I never did.
Okay, well, in the Peanuts, the cartoon.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So I always, I don't know. That's what I always thought of.
Yeah, no, that's
a lot more innocent than what the Death Troopers actually are, so don't listen to me.
Yeah, they would have murdered that teacher.
You only see her from the waist down.
Well, all grown-ups in Peanuts sound like that.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true.
Their parents, everybody, and it's like representative of like kids like not understanding or drowning out adults because they don't want to listen to them.
Yep.
But I can't figure out the equivalent of the Death Trooper not being audible.
That's fair. It just seems like they do such terrible things that we don't want to humanize them very much. But they haven't really done anything different than any other stormtrooper.
They just look badass and everything.
Yeah, maybe it's just to make them more menacing. I don't know. But so this could be the very beginnings of that. Who knows? Maybe they become something else. But I thought it was cool. We're continuing to develop this. There's going to be a transition. How's it going to go down? It doesn't seem like it's going to be a pretty one. It's not going to just, these. Maybe the clones will retire or whatever. But is it Lama Su, Luke? Is it Lama Su?
There's Lama Su and Nala Se.
Yeah. Are there on Camino, and they're worried. They're worried. They know that the end of this road's coming up, and if they're going to continue to survive, which I'm sure the Kaminoans would be fine, but they seem like some greedy bastards. So they are thinking ahead and saying this is going to come to an end. If these conscription soldiers are the future, we need to be valuable to this empire. We need to provide them something that they're going to use. And so they were talking at the end. I know I'm kind of jumping towards the end, but they were talking about was it a new host or something like that? Django's material, whatever, is limited at this point. So who could this be? Who are we talking about? Boba Fett? Could Boba show up? Because he was kind of the
unaltered.
Yeah, right. Could it be him? I'm really fascinated to see what their plans are. They obviously seem tied to Omega. There's something different about her.
So you don't think that it could be Omega?
It could just be Omega. But boy, this seems too secretive. We got Fennec Shand showing up, and she's talking to somebody.
Well, when you think about, we're starting to get into this era. We're just sort of on the tip of the iceberg of it, where there's going to be all these shows coming at us thicker and faster than we've experienced before. Mm-hmm. And the next one that we know of that we'll actually be able to watch is Book of Boba Fett.
Yep.
Which we almost certainly know Fennec Shand is in as well, and we know Fennec Shand is now in Bad Batch. Yep. So just for the connective tissue, getting people excited to see Book of Boba Fett later in the year, it would make sense if Boba Fett also makes his way into this series as well.
Absolutely. Anything else about those troopers? I don't know if we had talked about it yet on this podcast, but we were talking a little bit about Crosshair. And we did. We kind of. I was getting a Joker vibe from him. Did we talk about that?
Did
we already say that? It was just the music and everything was just so unsettling. And what was really cool, these elite troops seem like real dicks, right? When we meet them, this and that, we're elite. But when it came down to it, they were actually really trying to do the right thing in the moment. They sent him off to kill Saw Gerrera and his followers or whatever. And when they do that and kill his troops, there's civilians left behind. And when Crosshair is wanting to kill them, the one dude steps up and says, "We're not murdering these people. They're civilians." I thought that was cool. I liked it. We're seeing that, not everyone in the Empire is a douche. They're here. It's their duty to serve. These are rebels. We're taking them out. But these civilians, what are we doing here? I thought that was a really cool moment, and to just really show how far gone Crosshair is. And then I have to ask you guys, is he too far gone at this point, Holly? I mean, can he be redeemed?
I don't think that he's too far gone.
Okay.
They wanted him to act that way.
Yeah.
And this was a test for him
Yeah.
to show how his performance will be in that situation compared to how the performance of this like elite troop of actual humans is.
Yeah.
And they knew that Tarkin intentionally said, you need to set this inhibitor chip.
So
set it to the max.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Set it to the max on purpose.
Yeah.
To see how he will respond.
Yeah.
And so I don't think that he's too far gone. I don't know if they can reverse the damage from the inhibitor or remove it. Yeah. And I don't know what like the impact to Crosshair would be after that, or if he can be saved, because to me, I don't think that it's fair to ask if he's able to be redeemed, because he's not doing this of his own free will. He doesn't have any control over this. So I don't think it's necessarily a matter of him being able to be redeemed. I think it's can he be saved?
Can he be saved? Maybe we just got to pluck that inhibitor chip out. Right? Inhibitor chip. Omega can probably do it with her eyes closed.
I mean, she already knew everything about it. Well, her and Tech.
True.
Tick.
Yeah, her accent's freaking phenomenal. I've been working on it.
But more than what it says about Crosshair, I think, is the connection to that Force Awakens scene we talked about with the massacre there, and how Finn's the only one who doesn't start shooting and everyone around him starts shooting because they've all been conditioned. Like the backstory on Finn in the First Order era of troopers is that they kidnap all these people very young so that they can brainwash them and condition them to their style of doing things. And there's some great stuff in I think it was in the Phasma novel, or maybe even in the Black Spire novel that follows up on some of the same characters from Phasma. It talks about the conditioning that they would give to all the First Order soldiers. They would play things that they would hear as they would go to sleep.
Yeah.
And there's really intensive conditioning. And now we're seeing the turnover from the Republic to the Empire and them try to initiate that. I don't think it's as intense as what they did with the First Order. But it's showing that if you have one guy who dissents, steps up and says, I don't want to kill everyone. He's the guy who gets taken out, and the only people left are the people who went along with it.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like conditioning by weeding out anyone with enough of a conscience to not do those things.
Yeah.
And remember, Crosshair wanted to take those people out the first time he saw them when he was with the rest of the Bad Batch.
Put it to 11, though. He's like, we're doing it.
Yeah.
So you're right, and they mentioned, I can't remember if it was Tarkin. I think it was Tarkin mentioned that the remaining clones are going to lead these conscripted soldiers and they're going to heavily train them. So are they going to do the same with all the other clones? Turn them up to 11, and that's what it's going to take to essentially. This isn't a hey, join the Republic and get rid of the rebels. This is like you're gonna fight out of fear of losing your own life. We're seeing that transition here, and these clones are the ones who are going to be able to set the example and probably maintain order for a little while until we get everyone on board and start really recruiting some of the crazies out there, because we know they're out there.
Yeah. Well, Luke, that was a great point, because you can kind of start to see how just this one episode and Tarkin being involved with it kind of set the foundation for that decision to be made. Maybe we need to take these soldiers. We still want them to be people. We don't want clones anymore, but we need to take them when they're young.
Yeah.
So that we can mold them into the kind of soldier that we want them to be.
Yeah. What changes? Why is it just we want complete control and we're going to grow them into what we want? So does something happen after the fall of the Empire and the First Order kind of changes things?
I don't know. I also this is just me. I don't remember what Rampart's argument for needing to have human soldiers instead of clones was.
He just thinks they're superior. Probably hates clones. I mean, it's obvious he kind of does.
Well, Tarkin also thinks it'll be cheaper as well. It's sort of a budgetary thing.
Right. Because those Kaminoans are expensive.
The clones are expensive.
Yeah.
They're good.
Yeah.
But they're expensive.
Cloning technology ain't cheap, okay? We're in a recession here. Probably in the Star Wars galaxy as well,
100%.
All those tax cuts didn't do anything in the Star Wars galaxy. So now, we build clones. Who's going to pay for it? The galaxy, unfortunately. So I thought it's cool. It kind of blends into this next episode, but it's great that we're seeing this turn of the Empire and how quick it is. So I'll be really interested to see where we go with these replacements. And poor Crosshair, when they gave a scan on him, and the I think it was a droid or whatever said, "You're performing at whatever levels." He get out of my face. Like he's annoyed. He's just annoyed. And then the moment where he goes back to his barracks, I didn't even realize when I first watched it that was the Bad Batch's barracks, and all the replacements are going into it, and it seems like it's taking a toll on him. I'm like, could he overcome this on his own? They may not even need to remove the chip or whatever. Like there's this deep love of his friends and family, and maybe it'll come out and win in the end. I don't know, but he did the classic sit on the side of your bed. We've seen so much in Star Wars, just like shit. Like this is not what I wanted. So I kind of hope that he overcomes it himself, because so many, of his brothers have. It would be nice to see him kind of go through that process, but I don't know.
I mean, that's your classic optimism about still having hope for this kids show. So
yeah, it was. I mean, it was a dark one.
It was.
And it was cool. They balanced it out with the with Omega. They the Bad Batch has parked their ship on this moon, and they lose this part that they need. This little dragon guy takes it to his lair. And there's a really cool moment after Hunter gets knocked out and she goes searching in the part by herself. She takes his blaster too, which I thought was cool. I was like, Jesus, she just may go in there and murder everything in there.
Oh my God.
No, I didn't really think that. But the cool thing is that, when she's cornered by this dragon, she realizes I can throw my flashlight. He's consuming energy, whatever. But she could have shot him. She could have done that. And I like we're getting this new age of Star Wars animation where we're not just mindlessly killing creatures anymore. I mean, we may still, who knows? But she had almost an Ezra Bridger moment.
Yes.
Right? Like just, I don't know if she's tapping into the Force and feeling it, but like, was just like, this is a creature. Like, I don't need this. She just kind of put it away and just kind of like, well, you're going to eat me. Okay. So I thought that was really cool. A nice moment for her.
I think that what you're seeing is a normal human reaction to being like, this animal is not a threat to me. I am a threat to it. Mm-hmm. I'm just going to give it what it wants.
Just trying to eat.
Get out of there.
Yeah.
That's just empathy for this creature that's just trying to survive.
And it seems like it could rub off on Hunter too, because he's like, why'd you do this? Like, did you have to use that blaster? She's like, no, it's cool. Everything's good. So he might turn into a little softy, but as another nice, it's interesting too. You're starting to see him develop, before he probably would have just like yelled at her like he did when they visited Cut. But here he's like, are you okay? Like, that was the first thing he asked her. So even just an episode later, you're seeing, okay, this whole father figure he's starting to stick for him, which was cool.
People are calling it the Dad Batch.
Yeah. 3 men and a baby.
There's more. How many?
I don't know. There's 3 left, right? No, Echo.
Echo.
Keep forgetting Echo.
Wrecker. Hunter.
Yeah.
4 men.
So it's not TMNT anymore.
Oh my goodness.
Anyway. So yeah, Replacements was cool. It was dark. Boy, I'd love to hear from you guys that are letting your kids watch this. Like, I mean, it was one of those episodes where you're like, okay, maybe we skipped the murdering civilians part. I don't know. But maybe they need to see it. Replacements, that was a great episode. And the follow-up to it with Cornered, boy, it's as if they took the prequels and Rebels and just smashed them together and made an episode out of it, which I loved it. It was awesome. But classic Star Wars, we need a part. We gotta go to a shipyard. We gotta scramble our code or whatever. It lands them in trouble because our Bad Batch are realizing, okay, there's pretty much an APB out on us right now.
Yeah.
And we got to scramble our code so we can't get picked up. So Classic going to a port here, and the guy who's running the port, he's a scoundrel. He's trying to run them for all their money. And he reports them to someone, which was interesting, and we find out that's Fennec Shan. And the whole time I'm thinking that Fennec is just out for a bounty on the ship and the bad whoever stole it or whatever. You know, there's bounty on these guys obviously now at this point. But when she shows up and sees them and sees Omega, find out Omega is actually her target, which, I mean, we're going to get into this later, but I just got to ask you now, who is Fennec working for? Luke, I mean, who the hell is she talking to? Is it Palpatine? Does she have a direct line to Palpatine, or is it just Boba Fett?
Yeah, I mean, that's the big question you're left with at the end of this episode. We assume it will get a follow-up before long. I don't think she's going to be working for the Empire, because it seems that, like, from what we know of Tarkin, that he doesn't fully understand the Bad Batch, doesn't know a ton about them. He wanted to learn more about them. So it seems like they're a little bit under the radar in terms of the main Imperial. So Palpatine might not know a ton about them. Tarkin's only starting to learn more about them. It seems to be the Kaminoans who are the most concerned about them. Yeah. So that's, to me, the most likely scenario, is that she's working on behalf of them. But so much of this, the bigger picture of the story is sort of shrouded in mystery at this point. So I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up being something different. But from what we know right now, to me, the evidence points to the Kaminoans having hired her.
That's what I was thinking too. And my first thought was, you know, they're like, you know, we've got this problem. Who are we going to call? So I call up Boba. Like, hey, Boba, as you know, your dad was beheaded. He can no longer do our bidding. Would you be interested in a job? And he's like, well, I guess so. That's how I think it went down. I don't know. Holly, I mean, are you on board? Is it the Kaminoans? Is it Palpatine? Is Maul out there somewhere, you know, pulling all the strings? Hopefully Maul. I really hope it's Maul.
Yeah, I like Maul. But, okay, first of all.
Oh, God, here.
I don't think that Fennec Shand and Boba Fett have met each other at this point.
Okay, let's go. Okay.
At least in my mind,
I love it.
We're at least going to get one more episode with Fennec Shand in it.
Yep.
I wasn't sure if she was just going to show up as a cameo in one episode or if we would see her in more. So far we know we'll at least get one more with her in it. Yeah. And I think it would be, I don't know, interesting at some point during the series when she leaves. It alludes to her at least maybe like finding Boba or something like that. Maybe we don't hear his name. We don't see him. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think it was probably the Kaminoans, because at the end of episode 2, who is at Nala Se and Lama Su have a conversation together about the Bad Batch, and then specifically about Omega.
Yeah.
And you're not really sure like where they stand, or like, I don't know. It seems like they wanted Omega to get out of that situation, but then they're kind of like, we need her back, or we need her in a place where we know she's going to be. So I agree with Luke that it seems more likely that the Kaminoans would be behind hiring a bounty hunter to bring Omega back, or bring her to some location that they can keep tabs on.
I think that makes the most sense. But I have a feeling that... So originally I thought it would be cool if, like you said, Boba and Fennec don't know each other, and they run into each other. They're on the same job, and they fight each other. And then they realize, I don't know, it reminds me of when Din and Cara Dune were pointing blasters at each other's head on the ground. They were like that moment, like, we're never going to beat each other. Maybe we can work together, like something like that. So that was my first thought. Now I have some more speculation. It would be cool if the Kaminoans hit up Boba, like I said, hey, as you know, your father was beheaded, and we need you to come home. But I think it would be really great if Boba Fett utterly despises the Kaminoans.
Yeah.
And finds out that they were doing this secret project when he was there. And maybe they even wanted to do it on him, or he wasn't good enough, or something that really, maybe this is his mission. This isn't leading Tatooine or filling Jabba's place or something else. And maybe he got wind of this and he's looking to stop it. He's like, you know what? I get back at these greedy bastards and we can go get that Omega that's, conveniently missing.
I had this theory running in my head that along the lines of what you're saying, that what if it is just Boba Fett out for Boba Fett?
Let's go.
That hired Fennec Shand or got involved with Fennec Shand. And I had this comical idea that it's just like he learned that Omega is a female version of Jango, and he's like, that's my sister.
Yeah.
And he's lonely, and he just wants his sister.
Yeah.
And so he's like, I'm going to hire Fennec Shand to get my sister. Now, that seems really unlikely to me at this point. But as you guys are talking, and my brain is racking, and I'm trying to pull all the Star Wars canon bits out of my head, I'm thinking, what do we know about Boba Fett in this time period? He's still like a teenager. The last we saw him in the Clone Wars, I think he was working with Bosk and some other bounty hunters, and there was an arc where Asajj Ventress came in and worked with the team, ultimately betrayed them, left him locked in a trunk, which was pretty funny, to get away with the bounty and the sort of treasure they were going after. And then he appears in Dark Disciple, working.
Good point.
He gets drawn in again with Asajj, even though they had the rough history.
Yeah.
That was his own choice, too. Like, she didn't really ask him to. He was like, I'm going to see what happens. We're going to see how this plays out.
But I think he's teamed up with Bosk a lot. Like, Bosk seems to be one of his main partners in the canon in this time period. And, so we don't know what Fennec Shand's connection is to that crew and everything. But it does, as we are talking, it seems more and more likely we're going to get Boba Fett in some aspect here. This is a little bit of a tangent, but as you brought up Maul a few minutes ago, in the end, final season of the Clone Wars that we got last year on Disney Plus, there were a couple of very brief characters seen in hologram that had never been on the Clone Wars before. And from what I know about these animation processes, it's like a lot to develop a character model. So if they've gone through the trouble of developing a character model, it's reasonable to expect that they're going to use that character model for more than just a split-second shot.
Yeah.
So the two that I'm thinking of that we got, one is Caleb Doom. We saw him in hologram in the final season of the Clone Wars. I was like, look at that. There he is. It was a split-second thing. It wasn't very long. Lo and behold, Bad Batch comes along, who's in several minutes of the first episode.
That's right, Caleb
Doom. The other one that's like, oh, wow, look, they put him in the final season of Clone Wars. No dialogue, just a brief image of this character. Dryden Voss is seen in hologram form talking to Maul along with the other crime syndicates.
Yeah.
So my money is now also on Dryden Voss appearing in this series because they bothered to come up with the character model.
Great point.
It seems like they've got it ready to be used. So there could be a connection to Maul, Crimson Dawn.
That would be pretty cool, actually. Like with how much focus we've been putting in this era and up through Rogue One, I feel like we've been reading a lot of books. And we've been talking about it a lot now that we're getting past Order 66 into like the development of the Death Star and all of that. I think that'd be kind of cool to see an animated version of Dryden Voss continue to show up.
The Book of Boba Fett felt like we could be getting a lot of that underground crime boss kind of stuff, but this could very well lead us into it. Like you said, Book of Boba Fett's coming out after this thing, we assume. So why not tease that? Why not get us ready? Why not show us a little of that underground that we all know there's a power vacuum? Well, not really, I guess. The Empire still has to get its hold, but there's still going to be crime syndicates out there going to be like, hey, a little opportunity, let's do it. Work for this Empire. You scratch our back, we scratch your back. Like, right?
Do you guys remember, though? I feel like at the end of the last season of The Mandalorian, Fennec Shand said how her and Boba Fett kind of teamed up. And maybe I'm not remembering it correctly, but I was under the impression that she said that she owed him.
I took that as more that after she was shot there on Tatooine, that he's the one who saved her.
Okay.
After that, in season 1, where Mandalorian had teamed up with that other guy to go find her, and she ended up shot in the gut. Mm-hmm. And that at the end of the episode in season 1, we saw the mysterious person appear,
come up and find her.
Yeah.
So I think I took it as she owes him because he saved her life then, but they could very well have a lot more history than that.
Yeah, I truly don't know, and so because I guess that makes the most sense, because for some reason when I heard that, I was like, oh, there must be like something else that happened that now she feels like completely like indebted to him. But I mean,
well, it seems like he knows her value though, then, right?
She was worth saving.
Exactly. Yeah. She's worth saving. So they've had encounters in the past. They had to have. So, hey, I'll save you. Let's go. Let's go win over John's palace. We'll do whatever. We can do it together. But this is, I also am glad you did that little kind of little history on, Boba at this moment, Luke, because like, this isn't the Boba Fett who was sitting in the Sarlacc who, saw Christ, coming through the clouds and had a moment saying, I'm a changed man. He didn't do that. He's still a little dick. So I think it would be kind of cool to see. I mean, talking about all this makes me want Cad Bane. Like, it makes me want all these characters. Like, I'd love to see Dryden Voss. I'd love to see kind of that underground stuff. Like, are we going to get that out of this show? Are we going more seasons? I don't know, but it seems like a good potential to show us what else is going on in the Empire, or what else is going on in this galaxy while the Empire's figuring things out and how we can take control. But we always know these crime syndicates are successful because, it's a big galaxy. They do things for the Empire. The Empire turns a blind eye. So I think it'd be cool to kind of start getting a little bit of that. The Bad Batch can kind of lead us there. I think that'd be freaking awesome. But I just have so many questions. I didn't think I'd be this invested in the show. I
didn't either. Okay, Luke, now that I've had time to think about it, I really like your theory about Boba Fett being like, I'm getting my sister out of this shitty situation and she's coming with me.
It could be. He doesn't have his dad. Because, like I said, they're going to call up, say, as you know, Django lost his head. Like, you have nobody. Come home.
You keep bringing up this decapitation thing.
I know. He's fixing. Okay, but you know what?
Because it's going to bring up, like, if they actually reached out to him, that'd be crazy. But, like, if they need him to do something, or he is the final sample of Django that they need, I don't think he's going to be very happy with everything that went down. Like, look at the situation you put my dad in. He's gone. I don't have anybody now. So if he finds out he actually has some, like, sister, he's going to want... It makes sense that he would want her.
Yeah.
Because he has nobody besides his shitty bounty hunting family.
He's got a boss.
And that's it.
Boba.
Ew. Okay.
Snuggles up with boss at night.
Yeah. Ew.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not a fan of the lisp.
Nah.
Okay.
Pre-Mandalorian, I don't think if we had this conversation and I hadn't have watched the second season of The Mandalorian, I would have been like, that seems very out of character for Boba Fett. I don't think that Boba Fett would be looking out for anybody, even if it is somebody who he's like, oh, technically that could be my sister.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem to fit. But now seeing how he kind of like went out of his way to do something for Din that he literally didn't have to do.
Great point.
I mean, I guess that feels like it could possibly be in character for him.
Well, there's always something in it for Boba, though. Boba's not just this selfless guy. He's like, you need help? Cool. Hey, man, you're like a dad to this little guy. Up. Yeah, there's something in it for him, too. He's getting something out of it. So maybe he has no idea that this is like his... I don't even know what to call her, because she's not really a sister.
No, but I mean...
But kind of. She's not a clone.
And she's a sister as much as Django's his father.
Great point.
Yeah.
Great point. Yeah, but even biologically, I guess they're very similar. So,
and if you think about it, like I don't want to like sound callous or like insensitive,
Holly,
but like
you've already done that for yourself, okay?
but like if you think about it, like the clones, they all call each other brother, and I just feel
Yes.
like there's some sort of like camaraderie that comes with having that like shared DNA, whether it's from cloning or otherwise, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Shared DNA.
Yeah. It's fascinating. I cannot believe how much I'm speculating off the show. I didn't think I'd really care about it too much, but I'm enjoying it a lot.
It's all connected.
So let's talk about some of the things that I loved. Going through this town, it looked like Coruscant at times, and then sometimes it looked like Lothal, like we're in the marketplace of Lothal.
There were Lothcats.
There were Lothcats, like they're everywhere. They did a really great job of making you feel like this was a part of Rebels. Like, Omega running around reminded me of Ezra running around being chased by troops or whatever. I thought that was super cool. And then the speeder chases, it was very reminiscent of episode 2. No episode 2 hate on this podcast. None. I'll shut it down. I'll shut it down now.
I do think this was actually, I know we've only had 4 episodes, but I think this is probably my favorite of the 4.
Let's go. Why?
It was I just think it wasn't as dark
You're
as
waiting
the
for
last
Annie
one.
to show up.
I was not.
Okay.
It's setting us up for other things to come in the future. I think it was more exciting. I like seeing Fennec Shand. It just kept me engaged.
Yeah. And she's not she doesn't seem like the great. I know she's kind of a hero to us, but like she's still kind of a shitty person. She's kidnapping this kid.
Abducting, yeah.
But she is a badass. I thought it was cool when Wrecker's like, I got this. Like, go to the ship. I'll be done with her in a second. One punch, knocked out.
I know. He was out. TKO. Michael called it.
Absolutely. I was like, there's no way he's screwed. Just shoot her or something. But Luke, were you getting some prequel vibes? Did this take you back home to your youth? Just like going in and out of Coruscant, jumping from speeder to speeder. I thought little braided Annie was going to show up and try to save the day. Force Ghost Annie, braided. But he didn't.
Well, that was one of the great parts of the Clone Wars. You got to see all these places that are referenced in dialogue throughout all the movies or shown in very brief glimpses. Maybe in Order 66, you see the Jedi scattered throughout the galaxy and you see these different planets where they're executed. But you just don't get to spend time on them because I don't remember why. But in the past month, maybe it was one of those things where you're trying to go to sleep and you need something to kind of distract your mind.
Yeah.
So I started counting in my head as I'm trying to fall asleep how many planets are actually visited in each movie and which movie has like the most planet visits. And it's fun to just, roll through your head and you go, episode 4, they're on Tatooine. They go to the Death Star. That's kind of a planet. You see Alderaan, and they end up on Yavin 4. Yeah. So you kind of have like 4 locations or whatever. And then you just go through all the movies and see, like, in the end, there's only like a couple planets usually in each movie. But in the Clone Wars, you get all these arcs going to all these different parts of the galaxy. Yeah. And we see all these places, like the moons of Io, I think it is, that Anakin references in episode 1 when he says, where the angels are. Are you an angel, Padme? I've heard about them. Yeah. And there's a Clone Wars episode where they go to that place. Yeah. So there's so many instances of that. And to see go to Pantora, which is this place we know of because in the Clone Wars there's a great episode on a moon of Pantora, where there's these ice people in this dispute and everything, and characters played by George Lucas and Katie Lucas in the prequels are Pantorans. Yeah. Some of their on-screen, I don't know if that's George's only on-screen appearance in the prequels, but he's dressed up as one of these blue-skinned guys in there. So that's a great connection to get to Pantora, and that's the home planet of these blue-skinned people that George actually portrayed in the prequels. So it is just great to continue to see these worlds that get referenced so briefly. And I like how you said it was a blend of like Lothal and Coruscant. Yeah. Like obviously not as densely populated and built up as Coruscant is, but enough of that urban vibe, but also very much a Lothal
absolutely
vibe as well. It was a cool blend of all that.
I mean, they were down in the freaking sewer, and I was just like, "That is Chopper gonna show up and open up one of these hatches?" Because it felt just like it.
Yeah.
Which is great because we're freaking huge Rebels fans here. So it's cool. I like that Omega is starting to seem a little bit like Ezra Bridger. Just always gonna do the right thing. She's always got a positive outlook on things. And it was great. Like she's bored. Like she's bored on the ship. She's like, I want to be useful. Are we going sightseeing? Okay, let's do it. Like she's like pumped all the time, and I love it. She's got good energy.
Also, it's like still reminding you that she's a child because like
yes,
the guys in the Bad Batch, they're out doing grown up things,
exactly.
And she has not really a lot of interest in that because A, she doesn't really understand the scope of what they're doing, but B, she's never been to these places before, and so she gets distracted by these cute little alien puppies and things that like sand and other episodes, like things that kids would truly get distracted by anyway. So I mean, really, like she shouldn't be as mature as she is all the time on the show because she's still a child. Yeah, and I know that there's a lot of kids in Star Wars that you see their childhood is taken away from them, which actually is most of the children in Star Wars. And I feel like they're giving a little bit of that back to Omega, which I really like.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's great. The other thing I really enjoyed was the droid humor. I feel like we haven't had much of droid humor. Star Wars is droids. And the closest thing we have to a droid, the Bad Batch, is Echo. And I hate saying that. But he's got the, thing that all the astromechs has.
There's that big clunky.
But he doesn't have the humor.
There's that big clunky droid.
They have a gonk droid in the back, right?
Yeah.
Gonk.
And like Wrecker was doing like bicep curls with it.
Yeah, he's really just a dumbbell though.
Yeah. But then Omega was using it as like the pillow, and
That's
Hunter
true.
was like,
Great
that doesn't
point.
look comfortable for either of you.
Great point.
But that's not really the droid being funny. That's more like just situational.
Yeah. So I thought it was cool that we got a little droid humor, and that Echo can't really he's not the funny guy. He is, I mean, there is no personality there with Echo. Echo's been through some stuff. I get it, but like nothing there. So the fact that these droids were there to kind of make it a little comedic was great. And they had a little stubby, it was like someone put arms and legs on an astromech, and he's just waddling along like, waiting fixed. I thought that was awesome. Like, let's get more of that guy. He looked like the freaking the Michelin guy. Which is
that's
great.
kind of a little bit of Easter eggs there. I did watch all of Resistance, although I didn't commit a lot of it to memory. But I definitely recognized the dog character you brought up earlier. And it was funny when you mentioned it, Chewie kind of made a noise like,
oh, yeah. Can't breathe.
He didn't appreciate that you were calling another dog cute, I think.
The nerve.
But yeah, the dogs that kind of take the toy from her were the pet dog of a character in Resistance as well.
Dude,
Fun.
good pull.
And then this, I wouldn't have known it. I didn't catch it, but I've seen it out there that droid model that you're talking about that you got such a kick out of also first appeared in Resistance. So there's some sort of Resistance Easter eggs buried in this episode.
You might have to give Resistance a second chance.
I have to finish it. There's I just lost interest, and Luke would come up at work. Hey, did you finish? I was like, look, I'm like 3 episodes behind. And then he'd come back next week. I'm like, I didn't watch it either. And then at some point, we just stopped talking. He's like, you're never gonna finish it, are you?
I stopped that.
Too much Resistance hate.
No, it was fine. I do need to go back and finish it because I love that they're making pulls from that and the clone. Like, it's great that
and
they're
you want to be able
honoring it
to
all.
catch them as you see them.
Exactly, because I'm not. I just enjoyed the little stubby guys. Like, give him some work to do. That guy's great.
Wait, the toy that dog took from her, did she find that in the item that she dropped in that guy's shop, or was that hers? Where did that come from? Do we know?
It looked like Jen's little stormtrooper one that she had. It was kind of reminiscent of that, but it was an actual Republic commando or trooper,
which is weird. It came out of nowhere. I think it came out of something that she found in the shop, and then she took it.
I don't know, garbage or something, and she's just like, "Oh, this is cool. I'll take that." Yeah,
but then she got mad at Fennec Shan for just taking some fruit later.
Yeah, got it. Hey, you can bend the rules a little bit. Fennec told us that sometimes you got to.
Yeah.
When we're talking about Wrecker, it reminded me of a really nice moment that I think we didn't talk about in Was it Replacements at the end? Because is it the beginning of the third episode where they're rationing their food and Wrecker tries to take, she's like, you can have mine because he's still hungry. And he's going to take it. And Hunter's like, dude, no, she doesn't even have a room. You're going to let her eat her freaking food. The end of that episode was so lovely. So, yeah, they go and do the fun stuff or whatever. But the fact that Wrecker's so excited to show her what he did for her, like, I'm going to make this right. Like, you need to feel at home. Making her own space. I thought that was really lovely. And she just melted into it. She just loved it. I thought that was such a nice moment. I don't know why I forgot to talk about it, but it was a very great moment. Can't believe we forgot it.
Yeah, Wrecker seems to have taken on the most of the big brother role.
Yeah.
Like Hunter's trying to be the father figure, like he saw Cut LaQuaine being. He's like, all right, I need to emulate that now.
Yeah. Yep.
But Wrecker's like the really protective big brother at this point. Like when he hears, he's not with Hunter in Echo when blah blah blah. When Omega, I almost forgot her name.
Who are we talking about?
Omega. Inhibited chip. When Omega goes missing, and then Hunter radios back to Tech and oh gosh, I'm doing really bad with names right now. Wrecker, when he radios back to Tech and Wrecker and say Omega's gone, somebody's chasing her. Wrecker's like, oh no way, not my little sis, and he gets out there, right away to try to help. So
and
he is
finds
definitely
her.
Yeah.
He just goes right down in the sewer. He's like, I got this.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't have it.
He got his ass kicked.
It's the thought that counts.
Yeah, absolutely.
I guess.
Absolutely.
I don't know if that applies in this situation, actually.
I mean, he stopped her for a little bit. He did what he needed to do.
Yeah.
But you know who didn't get a lot of time in this episode?
Tech.
Tech. Like, because he's had such great moments, surprisingly to me. I know everyone's a Donatello fan. He's not my favorite turtle, but everyone loves Tech and Donatello. So apparently, Luke is no
Donatello.
Luke is these guys hate episode 2 and Donatello. Unsubscribed. Anyway, so I was a little bit surprised by that because he's quickly becoming a favorite of everyone on Star Wars Twitter. Everyone loves Tech, and then I'm like, oh, we're getting less Tech. Oh no. So I was a little surprised by that, but
it was one episode.
2 episodes. I don't think we got much in both of them.
Well, these episodes weren't about him.
Yeah, great point. What else? What else about the final episode, the second episode that we're talking about? Anything else, guys?
I don't know. I feel like we just did a very thorough review of.
It was very thorough.
It was.
I love that you're on board though. Because I was a little worried.
With the Bad Batch?
I thought you were losing interest.
Well, we at least now have a couple threads to follow. Before it was just like the Bad Batch is trying to survive.
Yeah. Yep.
And how much is Crosshair? I almost forgot another name. I'm really struggling with the names right now. I'm trying to pull them out. How much is Crosshair going to be tracking them down? Is that going to be the main story?
Yeah.
It's like, well, we kind of see Crosshair developing within the Empire now, leading this new squad. So it's like maybe he won't immediately be going after them.
Yeah.
What else are they going to come across? We got Fennec Shan coming in. Are we going to see her in the next episode immediately? Or are we going to take a break from Fennec Shan? Yeah. Rex is hanging out there. We know from some of the preview materials that Rex is going to show up in the series at some point. Cut LaQuaine mentioned, Rex just stopped by a day ago. You just missed him. So we know Rex is coming. So it's just nice to see all these threads developing that we're going to follow. And like you kind of referenced this earlier, Michael, we don't know how long the show is going to be around. Is this going to be a 1 season and it's done?
Yeah.
Is this going to be 5, 6 seasons, 7, like the Clone Wars? Like we just don't know, and I don't think Disney knows at this point. They're going to see how it goes, probably.
Yep.
But they're laying out all these early threads and building these storylines and these connections to other series and other movies to the point where it seems like there's enough sort of juice to squeeze out of this show that I'm guessing it's more than 1 season at this point, because this is the 4th episode technically, but the first episode was kind of 3.
Good point.
Yeah.
So we're on probably like the 6th 6th episode, but if you look at Rebels and Clone Wars seasons, a lot of them were like 20-ish episodes.
Yep.
So we're not even quite a third of the way done.
Yeah.
So there's a lot. There could be a lot to run on this thing.
Yeah.
So they got to lay down a lot of different tracks that you can touch on throughout the season.
Yeah, and all of this is hosted on Disney Plus. It's not like they're taking it to, like, they already know, like, the show's the show.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like they have to be like, they have to take it to the network and tell them this is what the first season's going to be, have it approved, and then follow that. So I feel like they can change things a little bit depending on the reception from the fans too, I would imagine. And so I think that, you know, it seems like it's being received really well. It's hard to tell because we're in our own like Star Wars fan bubble. I don't know how well the show is doing on Disney Plus overall compared to other things.
Well, at least I judge some of the promotion off of like when you log into the platform, what gets highlighted in the upper banner. And it's usually, it's been one of the things like, hey, there's a new episode of Bad Batch. It's right up front and center and advertised heavily.
Yeah.
So, and also if you've been into like the behind the scenes and interviews of cast members through all these series over the years, you know, you listening to Freddie Prinze Jr. talk or listening to Ashley Eckstein talk, they record the dialogue for these episodes sometimes a year or more before audiences end up seeing them.
Yeah.
So if it's going to be a thing where we're going to get a season a year of this show for several years to come, they almost need to have already been greenlit for a season 2 at this point.
Yeah.
That's true.
And they maybe just haven't told us, or it's going to be on a different timeline, and like you're not going to get a next one for another 18 to 24 months after this one. But then that kind of, you lose some momentum on the series too there. So going into an animated series, if they're buying into it, they're going to go green light on this thing. To me, it almost seems like you got to not just green light a season and then see how it goes. You got to green light. You want to do 3 seasons? Okay, we're going to do 3 seasons.
Yeah.
And that's the plan.
Yeah.
So to me, it's either they know this is somebody at Disney knows how long this thing is actually going to run. They just haven't told us yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know that before they were kind of a little bit worried about people having like some fatigue from like things coming out so rapidly. And I think that's why they had stopped. Because remember when before they were like, oh, we're going to have a Star Wars movie a year come out. And then they kind of like backpedaled on that. And they're like, maybe every...
And there's that pandemic thing kind of threw things up in the air.
Yeah. And I feel like the animated shows, everybody can record their stuff separately, and the animators, like, you don't have to be all in the same room, all crowded together, you know, to do the animation and the editing and, you know, all the graphics that you need to do. So I feel like maybe they have been putting a little bit more focus right now, or at least when the pandemic was like really bad last year, and like getting these shows put together. So who knows, if they do already have season 2 recorded, they might already almost be done with the editing and the graphics and stuff on that too.
It seems hard to believe, especially now, 4 episodes in, that they wouldn't do a season 2. Because at first, I really didn't give a crap about these guys. And now I do. So if I'm fully invested after 20 episodes and they're like, that's it, Book of Boba Fett's coming out. What?
What
the hell happens to Wrecker? Like, come on, I'm on board now, and now you're taking them from me? So, a couple weeks ago, I'd have been like, yeah, a season, cool. That's fine. Tell us what happens to these guys. That's fine. But now, you're digging in deep. I mean, Omega just got a bedroom. You know, she may be 35 tomorrow. Who knows? We don't know anything about how she develops. We don't know. Is she force sensitive? There's so much to be told.
Well, she still also has, in my opinion... a skill or something that either she hasn't discovered or she knows we just don't know. I feel like there's so much to learn about Omega. I don't know. There's a big story there.
And they're doing these. Every single episode has it. When she was in front of that animal that was going to rip her apart on Cut's farm. When she was in the dragon cave. There's these moments where you're like, it's going to happen now. She's going to levitate
and then
something.
It doesn't.
And nothing. She's just a kid, just, terrified, out of her mind.
You think she's force sensitive?
I don't know. Those heightened skills, it feels like they're going to come out in a time of need, Rey needed Luke's lightsaber in that moment. Force pull. I can wield this thing. I can stab like Palpatine. So I don't know. Everyone called it too in the beginning. They just didn't know that was actually going to happen. Anyway, but I don't know. There's so much to be told, and I didn't think I was going to care. I'm so surprised that they do so well with these things, and I'm just like every Friday I'm like pumped. Like maybe I wait till Saturday morning to watch it. It's not like I'm right after work like punching out and watching like I did with The Mandalorian. I give it a little bit of time. I still don't allow it to be spoiled on Twitter for me.
Yeah.
Less spoiling on Twitter with this show. I don't know if anyone else has noticed that, but
yeah.
So maybe people don't really care as much about it, or maybe there's not much to be spoiled. I don't know. But
it's fine with me.
Yeah. Well, Holly, you just haven't been on Twitter, which is why we haven't been posting much of anything.
Oh my gosh. It's actually, but I'm not going to lie.
Come on.
It's been super nice. Yeah. I haven't felt bad about my opinions about Star Wars. I haven't felt like someone's calling me a fake fan or a casual fan. Yeah. You poser.
Saying you're a casual fan in our group is actually a good thing.
I know, yeah. That's true, actually. Casual fan.
Exactly.
I don't know. It's just been really nice. There's so much negativity about Star Wars.
Yeah.
And there's a difference between just criticizing something or constructively criticizing something. And overall, Twitter just wants to criticize and tear things down and cancel stuff instead of being...
Sounds like cancel culture, Holly. It feels political.
It's a touchy subject, I guess. But anyway, I don't know. There's
you canceled Twitter. You canceled the hell out of Twitter.
Deleted it.
It's actually a really funny story. Can I tell it?
What story?
Holly's telling one of her friends the other day. Yeah, so they got rid of a few social media apps. And I was like, okay. I was like, well, you mind me asking? Like, which ones? She's like, I like Twitter. And first I thought she was going to say her Bumble app, but it wasn't Bumble. You still have that, right? Is that still?
No.
She says,
wait, let me check
it. Yep. No, we'll get a camera on here. She says Twitter. I said, who's running the Flying Castle Twitter? Sure as hell ain't me. So apparently, guys, we're just not going to tweet anymore. I don't know. But I don't really know how to tweet. I don't do a good job of tweeting. I don't do a good job of social media to begin with. I also don't do a good job of promoting the podcast. Like, you either listen, you find us, or you don't. Like, it's either word of mouth or it's not. So tell your friends to listen to the podcast because no one else will. So Holly, R.I.P. Twitter.
R.I.P.
Maybe one day you'll come back. Probably not.
We'll see.
You gonna set up your Zanga page again? Or?
Yes, I feel like I need to blog about the podcast.
Sounds like a great idea. We could throw a transcript of the podcast out there. That'd be great.
Should bring back a MySpace for podcasting. You put your favorite podcasts in your top 8.
I actually pulled up MySpace the other day. I was looking for my account. I couldn't find it.
Oh, Tom must have deleted everything.
That bastard. Oh. Luke, did you have a MySpace?
No.
Luke!
Can you still get on MySpace? Is that real?
It's still a thing.
Oh.
It is still it doesn't function very well. It's a place for music, but when you go and try to listen to music, you can't listen to it. So I don't know who is actually paying for this, but Tom is gone.
So funny. Tom
is out. So guys, I don't know about Twitter. Who knows? Maybe we'll strike back and maybe we'll never use it again. I don't know. But we just, we don't really try to get a following there. We don't use social much. So
just everyone who is listening,
come on,
get one friend
to
listen and we'll double the audience.
That's actually a great idea.
Oh my God, we're going to do a refer a friend program.
But you just don't get anything.
You might get something.
You might get a good time, a good podcast.
You might get something.
Yeah. We gonna mail stuff out?
Why not? That's fine.
You make a Bumble message from Holly. Who knows?
Oh my God.
Either that or we need Nettie, Brent.
Yep. Come on.
Rob.
Yeah.
All the regulars.
Let's go.
To just get like 50 people each.
That would be sick.
And then we'll be good.
Listen.
I'm down for being a grassroots organization. Okay? I don't need no freaking 1,800 Twitter followers. Everyone's just begging for Twitter followers. It's disgusting.
I'll go door to door in the neighborhood. Excuse me. Do you
Would
have
you like
a
to
minute?
follow us on Twitter?
Do you have a minute to talk about my podcast, Flying Casual?
Oh my God. No, you can't solicit really in this neighborhood. You get shot down. Not literally shot.
I was like, you would not just this neighborhood.
Get shot down.
I'm sure Jory's good for like 100 people, so everyone else can probably take the day off.
Jory's probably good for the whole state of Michigan.
I think Jory's out. I haven't heard from Jory. I think Jory hates. He may have unsubscribed.
He might have blocked you.
Probably.
Funny.
Big shout out to Jory. We love Jory. So Jory, come back. We miss you. We love you. But guys, I'm fully invested in the Bad Batch. I don't know about you, but I want to hear what you think about episodes 3 and 4. We're fully caught up now, so we'll stay on the reg with those releases. No comics lately. Holly is finishing Catalyst for the book club. Mm-hmm. I still need to finish. What's it called?
Oh shoot!
What's the second book called? Luke, I'm coming to you.
You're talking
second
about
book
of the High Republic.
The High Republic.
The High Republic. Test of Courage.
Sure.
I think it's a Test of Courage. It's a children's book, and I still haven't finished it.
Yeah, it's kind of a brief one.
It's a brief one. Not for me, though.
Michael was going strong.
I was
going And then just like all of a sudden, he just like put it down. He probably has 10 pages left, and he just won't finish it.
Why?
I don't know.
And then I'm like, what the hell did I read? What's going on here? I don't know. I'm enjoying it, though. I actually enjoyed this one a lot. Not a ton that happens, but it's fun.
I know. We got to start talking about the High Republic stuff.
Well, Holly needs a few days to read all the books, so.
I know. I'm reading too many books right now.
So one day we'll talk about the High Republic because Holly's reading everything under the sun but Star Wars. No, you are reading Catalyst, so.
Thank you.
So what they got another month to read Catalyst probably at this point?
I announced it late, so
yeah.
If the Patreon guys think that we need to push it back, then we'll just push it back a little bit. That was my fault.
Or something like that. That's okay. That's okay. It's a good one. James Luceno. You don't see much from him anymore in Star Wars, so take what you can get at this point. He used to write a lot of Star Wars. Not so much anymore.
He did have one book that he came out with that was ebook only.
Ooh.
What?
Yeah, that's what I read his biography on the cover of the book, which by the way I bought for $7 at Half Price Books.
Let's go. Big purchase.
But
I feel like we got a steal there. There was one of the exact same copy, double the price.
This one, so I guess this was like a quarter price book from Half Price
Felt like
Books.
It, yeah.
Anyway, I don't know. Yeah, it says that he did an ebook exclusive Star Wars novel.
Oh, we got to find that. I had no idea that existed.
I got to download it on my Kindle.
Let's go. I'm down. So, guys, I hope you enjoyed the Bad Batch. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Be expecting a book club in the next month or so, and we'll have we actually have a flying or a casual council upcoming soon. So excited for that. But we're here for the Bad Batch. Hope you are too. All of our friends, Wrecker, Hunter, Tick. Gotta watch it with Omega. I couldn't understand anything she was saying when she was announcing all the Bad Batch. Inhibitor chips with Tick and Hannah and
you keep forgetting Echo.
Echo. I freaking love her. So hope you're enjoying it. Hope you enjoyed this podcast. Hey, like we said, we don't do social media. We don't promote the podcast. We really depend on you guys to share your love of the podcast. That helps with leaving a nice review for us on Apple Podcasts. It really helps get the word out there that Flying Casuals is doing Star Wars right. That's on Facebook. You can join our Facebook group there. A lot of good chat going on. You can check out our Patreon. Like Holly mentioned earlier, we have some of our Patreon friends that we like to collaborate with and have discussions with. A lot of fun there. So check us out wherever you can. Tell your friends. We're not really working Twitter. There is a Twitter. It's just not functioning. But we appreciate you guys. We love you. Go get vaccinated. Take care of each other.
Lick each other's elbows
especially. And may the Force be with you always.